All right, we got the S&P, which is creating a bit of a sideways price structure, and if we look at the larger perspective here, we've got a really solid string of momentum to the upside, followed by a nice deep dip in the afternoon session, ripped all the way into the new highs, and now we have a gap down, which is leading into some serious misses on this overall cycle. A lot of traders are going to be possibly disappointed, but at the same time, a lot of buyers seem to be still coming in off of this low, and with this amount of continuation bullishness, there's a shot that buyers are still looking for a bit of follow through. Sellers do have some resistance. In fact, this whole area here is going to be sell side resistance. So from a scalp perspective, sellers can push back against that. But now we actually have bullish candle gapping. We have bullish intents. They're trying to get this to rotate further up. So with that said, and the bulls trying to get this to rotate back to the upside and not hitting a zone of resistance yet, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all to see if we can get a little bit of a dip back to structural support at around 46.78. I like the 46.78 area for a couple reasons. That's the earlier long entry of that giant bull bar. That's also the base that set up all of the support resistance back there. 46.78 lines up beautifully with that spot. All right, market shifting down, testing the entry point, fills the entry point and allows the bulls to sweep this back in. 46.78 is the zone of interest to see if we can get a bounce back up to 79. I'd like to see if they can finish this job off. Didn't fill immediately, but it looks like right when I got filled, they shifted the bid-ask down, so they looks like they tried to push it through this zone, but so far I've got a perfect fill on the lows. See if you get that 46.79 push back to the upside or if they're going to fill everybody else. Looks like they're filling everybody else as well. Now, if they do want to slide a little bit further down, we are dealing with a bullish transition and a bear move. So 77, 1 point underneath this, doesn't hurt my feelings either to look for an extended secondary entry to follow up for more momentum higher. The anticipated move here is that the bulls are defending the previous bounce point, they're defending their previous entry points, and they're looking for at least enough to get a scalp done. We've gotten to 3 ticks. They got to get to 4 and finish the job. They're right around the corner, but they're not quite there yet. Right there, testing it, no fill. Tested the target, but no fill. Testing the target, no fill. This is the joy of trading the S&P sometimes. Tested the target multiple times, but I did not get a fill yet. We need to actually get that fill to get out of the move. All the way back down, a lot of traders will be looking to pick up this quick little slide, 77, 76. I love this area, and if they do want to overslide down, likelihood of even further adding into the 76s makes a lot of sense. Tested the secondary entry, did not get a fill on that. A little bit frustrating after bouncing off of the target, but we'll see if they can give this secondary one for another pulse back to the upside. The S&P doesn't want to let me play ball, it seems. Not getting a fill on the second entry, not getting a fill on the target. We're not getting filled anywhere here. Got a nice fill to get in, and it didn't want to give me anything else. I'll have to give it a little bit more time here. Secondary entry finally fills. That means that the 1 point target up at 79 is now looking even nicer with 2 contracts. See if we can get the follow through up and finish the job. Beautiful, quick little snap higher there. See if they can run up and finish the job this time. Final few seconds left on the candle. They haven't really been able to get going up or down. They're just kind of bouncing around. It seems like a lot of buyers are still picking up the lows, and they plotted a relatively weak bear bar on top of that. One thing to consider, a lot of buyers, if they bought in a point lower, sometimes they'll exit at the original entry point's break even, because effectively it's still technically a 1 point scalp with that secondary add. That's one way to approach it. We'll want to see if we can get that extra continuation up though, because we still haven't even hit resistance. And in fact, if they do want to cycle a little bit further up, we may have a shot at a possible runner now up to the 81 quarters. Nice pulsing back up, a couple ticks away from the target, just needs a little bit more juice to finish the job off up at 79. See if they can cycle up through there. That'll drop the average down to 77, and we can see if we can run on through up to this 81 quarter once they can get this job done. Testing again, There's that fill, finally. All right, so now as far as this is concerned, let's lock that stop in at 1 point, so we know that we have at least 2 points on the trade now. We want to see if we can follow through this last little portion up to the 81 quarter and get this job done. We will run into some resistance along the way up in the 80 quarters as well, which is why I want to protect this last little point and get rid of that additional add down there and see if they can keep this thing going. Market's still really riding the struggle bus here and having a hard time. We'll liquidate this last one off at the scalp, and we'll accept it as a nice little 2-point addition on that move. It's not getting through. We've only got a minute left on this, and there's too much resistance up here to want to fight against that extra runner. Good enough for a beautiful continuation higher. Awesome example of a nice little dip there for buyers to buy into, and really just going back to what took place from the previous day. Obviously, this reversal off the low is going to have some interest, especially with a jumbotron wick on the low. And once the market finally returned back, we demonstrated support. So once we had that go-ahead, once we know that support is there and we start cycling back above, it's go time to try to get this thing to rotate back up. They couldn't get a big old runner out of it, unfortunately, but got a nice little couple points, good enough, and that'll call it for this one. Really nice little bounce. Now what we're going to have to wait and see is if they can continue back up into this resistance zone, reject back out, or what they want to do.